This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's community access radio station Plains FM 96.9 and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Tēnā koutou, greetings and welcome to Emergence News, broadcasting from Christchurch here in the Canterbury Plains on the South Island of Aotearoa, New Zealand. It is spring here, and in this season, Christchurch is known for its erratic and changing weather. It can fluctuate from 30 degrees one day to 12 degrees the next, sometimes in the space of a few hours. This year, the fluctuations feel even more pronounced, mirroring the highs and lows of world events. Potentials and possibilities are vying with stagnant and stuck ideologies. Those ideologies digging in deeper as a changing world beckons and people demand change. The sword of cleavage is deepening every day as we witness the polarization of people, of nations, of ideas and of action. As part of a global network of volunteers for Share International, our role here on Emergence News is to tell a simple but profound story that we believe can give some understanding and insight into the happenings of the time. Happenings which have been prophesied and expected for millennia. This is a time of great significance. We are standing at the threshold of a new and amazing era for humanity. This is the beginning of the age of Aquarius, the golden age of enlightenment. The time when the water carrier distributing the waters of life walks among humanity again. He has many names and is the expected one for many spiritual traditions. The Christ, the Messiah, the Kalki Avatar, Krishna and Maitreya Buddha, to name but a few. He is the world teacher for this time, and we will know him simply as Maitreya, the happy one. He is here in the world because humanity is ready to take a great evolutionary leap as co-creators of a beautiful new world of shared brotherhood, sisterhood, a world where each and every one of us is a cherished and respected member of one global family. Maitreya comes with a group of brothers who we know as the Masters of Wisdom. Evolved beyond Earth's school of teaching, they have returned here to support us, their younger brothers and sisters, as we struggle through the chaos and confusion that change inevitably brings. Every day we are bombarded with the drama of corruption, violence and conspiracy. The world could be seen as terrifying, a living hell if that was all that was happening. As observers of the plan of God working out, we look beyond the drama and especially towards the grassroots. We can see the strong shoots of a new reality emerging. The love demonstrated when hatred spills over, the sharing of resources when people are suffering lack, the calling for justice and peace when injustice raises its ugly head, the creative inspiration wrought from the fire of necessity, and the power of cooperation achieving results that would be impossible to achieve alone. We are full of hope for the world as we witness these shoots growing and getting stronger. If energy follows thought, it behoves us all to focus on the good that is happening and let the rest wither from inattention. Today we're bringing you some snapshots from around the world of our changing world for the positive. And we have in the studio today, we have Peter and John. Hi guys.
Shafia. Hi there, Shafia.
So what have you got for us today?
Well, I've got from emergency to emergence, and also an interesting little insert from planetary help that we have from our brothers from the solar system that we live in.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Great, yeah.
Yes. And John?
I've been mining the July-August Share International magazine, and I've come across a really great article that rattled my cage a little bit, but actually I thought it was quite good news.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Okay, John, so tell us about your delving into Share International?
Well, it's been interesting because we were looking for good news and we wanted to find good news for 2020. And I've come across this article by Graham Maxton. Now, firstly, I wanted to say, and I guess I wanted to outline my own personal bias. I'm a fan of clear snapshots of good reason. I really like little snippets of stuff that I go, oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm a facts and stats guy, and I like to think I'm evidence-based. Now, that could be completely wrong, and I might be completely delusional, but I'd like to think I'm evidence-based. And I kind of feel if you present me with a good argument, and I've got a 15-year-old daughter, I will nearly always fold if you give me a good argument, right?
Yeah.
So I found this stuff by Graham Maxton really interesting. I think I need to declare that I'm a huge fan of Share International. I find Share International really stimulating. And I'm a fan of all things Benjamin Creme. I like the way he writes, and I like his snapshots of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am. I've got an article by Graham Maxton. I was introduced to his ideas through Share International. He's an economist and author. He's written many, many books. In fact, I recommend you Google him. And he's a myth-buster, a much-needed warrior of information. I find myth-busting exciting, and that's why I find Maxton good news. Mm-hmm. Because I'm constantly amused by the things that we all believe. So one of his mostly wrong beliefs is the private sector can stop climate change. And he says the private sector cannot stop climate change. No one can stop climate change. All societies can do now is stop getting it out of control. This requires social and economic change far beyond anything the private sector can achieve. I get that.
Yes.
Why do we think private sector is going to do anything about climate change? It's a myth.
Yes.
Here's another one. Military efforts should focus on terrorism. Well, the biggest threat to human life is not conventional wars or terrorism, it's nature. In the coming decades, viruses and climate change will kill far more people than conflict. And we've just gone through COVID, and I think this article was written before COVID, and COVID has killed millions of people, more so than any war has done recently. So he's right, I really get that.
Yes.
We are so caught up with military might solving our problems, we don't see the problem.
Yes.
There's another one that he's come up with, which I thought was really interesting because I love one of these snapshots. Economic growth reduces inequality. And he goes on to say, economic growth does not reduce inequality. After 200 years of economic development, the gap between rich and poor is higher today than it was in 1820. If in the rich world, inequality is higher than it was in 1914, while the gap between the rich world and the poor world is now 3 times greater than it was in 1820. The trickle-down effect, where the wealth of the rich is supposed to trickle down into the pockets of the poor, is a myth. Only the rich get richer. If societies really want to narrow the gap between rich and poor, they need a radical change in economic thinking. And why I found this so intriguing is it's the rhetoric that's starting to come through from governments now. Mm-hmm. And this challenge to address wealth accumulation across modern societies. And how do you free up the wealth that's been accumulated by the wealthy? Do you do it through tax? How do you do it? But the trickle-down effect doesn't work. We have to stop doing it. Mm-hmm. And there's another one that I found really intriguing, and it's one of those safety beliefs. It keeps us safe. The poor will always be with us, even in a rich world. So it's not our problem. We can just forget about the poor. And what he says, do we just have to live with poverty, even in a rich world? Hundreds of millions of people in the rich world live in poverty today, and their numbers are rising. To solve this problem, conventional economics say that government should boost output and get people working. It is a problem of distribution. Divide the rich world's GDP by the population, and there is more than enough work, wealth, and income for all. everyone could work for just 3 days a week and live comfortably if we choose. Cutting poverty in the poor world needs a different solution. I found that really stimulating, because as you drive around modern New Zealand, you see more and more poverty. You see homeless people. And really, it's not insurmountable. It's an easy fix. And we've already reported on this program about UBIs, that governments around the world are starting to go, hey, we need to think about UBIs.
And you're right about the 3 days work a week. You've got enough work for everyone.
Oh, and I would be very happy to work 3 days a week. Can I give you 2 of mine? Can I give you 2 of my working days, Shafia?
I'll give it back, actually. But
So, mostly wrong beliefs I found really stimulating and quite exciting, because you cannot move forward until you know where you are. And one of the ways for us to get well on this planet is to understand the myths that enthrall us. And so I found Graham Maxton really interesting.
Yes. And talking about UBI, I don't know whether you've read that 100,000 people have signed a petition that is being presented to the UK government asking for UBI.
is that right?
And with the COVID thing, yeah.
Britain spends in excess of $50 billion a year on armaments. America spends $790 billion a year, every year, on weapons and armaments. That's an awful lot of social interest. That's an awful lot of care for people tied up in those two industries, industry.
Yeah.
So these answers are really there and are really clearly in front of us. It's just a decision.
A political decision.
It's not insurmountable. Yeah.
No, it's done. It's just a mindset that we have to overcome.
Absolutely. So thank you, Graham. I feel much better.
Yes. Okay, Peter, let's hear about the space people.
Yes, well, I'll read that one first, because that's quite interesting, I think. And it comes from Maitreya's Priorities, and it's from Maitreya's Mission, Volume 3. Extraplanetary help. Already there are beings from more evolved planets in our solar system living on Earth. In the United Nations, there are records of the fact that they are acting in some instances as advisors in government circles in various countries. Much inspiration is being given to in the medical field also, particularly with reference to the technology of light. Enlightened beings can control the technology of light, but they do not misuse it. In important instances, they have prevented its misuse. Their role is protective and inspirational. I think that's really good news, because we think we're just sort of all alone, and those aliens from out there are going out to get us. Well, nothing can be further from the truth.
I think also the challenge for humanity is to ask for help. I wonder if we haven't asked for help as a people, as a planet.
Well, it's interesting you say if they're actually working in the institutions, because they've got such a lot to offer, but we're obviously not ready yet, are we, to stop our warmongering? Because, I know that's what Benjamin Creme says, that, we're not going to be given this technology of light until we are prepared to
give up war,
and, and do the redistribution, and shows at least, the beginnings of sharing our wealth, with each
that's
other.
Right. Yeah. And as John says, there's so much money put into defence and all this sort of thing. From what?
Yes. Yeah.
Who are we frightened of?
There's a lot of fear, supposed fear in the military or in the people that run these sort of institutions, and it just, they want more money for this, that and the other. Doesn't matter what it is, they want more.
So they must be working with them, trying to really, change the mindset from within, which is really good news to hear that. I've been interested in, Share International over the years, have been part of this disclosure project of our space brothers and sisters, and they've been releasing. I remember, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, Chile, giving a statement, and I reporting on it in the program at that time, saying that there are,
as a government, Chile as a government,
that they are here with us, and they are not to be, there's nothing to be frightened of.
That's right. Yeah.
So there is a big disclosure project going on at the moment, and we're getting to know more and more about them. So,
Well, of course, Maitreya decided to come forward in 1945 due to people's cry
Yes.
for help.
Global appeal.
Yes.
And so, yes, we have asked for help, and it has arrived.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, it's there's not that many of us aware of his existence in
No.
our everyday work.
And obviously in those top echelons, there's not the willingness at the moment to make those
No,
changes. So
that's very
they're
true.
obviously working alongside them, hoping to
Yes.
change it.
Oh, that's right.
We don't know
yes.
what's going on behind the scenes, do we?
It's interesting. We talked about solar energy and electric vehicles, and I guess that they are short-term fixes, and it's this technology of light that,
Yes.
that is going to help us with that energy creation and management. And we need to give up war so that we can access the good things that the solar system can offer us.
Yes, that's right.
The confederation of planets in this solar system can
Well,
offer us.
let's face it, there's 7 of them are our sacred planets, so there's a lot of good help there, and we're one of the non-sacred ones,
Yeah.
so we need all the help we can get.
We live in a lovely street called the solar system, but we're the bad neighbour.
Yes, we trash the place quite regularly, don't we? And the pandemic obviously has exposed extreme vulnerabilities in the global market economy, including as long and highly specialised linear supply chains, corporate monopolies shielded from market forces, privatised technologies and ruthless competition without regard for its impact on the people and on the earth. But discussions are now underway in many community, national and global forums suggesting a significant widening of what is known as the overtone window, the range of public policies that the mainstream population is prepared to consider at a given time. And some of these things, and I see they're desperately needed in America particularly, a system of healthcare accessible to everyone regardless of income or documentation. Now you see Biden has used that as a major plank in his appeal to the people.
I don't know whether you saw that Alexandria Cortez was saying that that the people who stood on the platform of Medicare and the Green New Deal all got voted back into Congress, and those who didn't. So because they've been the Democrats have been saying that the left have caused this. They've been trying to scapegoat a little bit, and the left, and they're too progressive and they're this and they've and actually it's all the progressive ones who've been getting voted back in again, and all the ones who haven't been standing on those platforms have not.
Well, there could possibly be a change there, couldn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And just compensation and job security for those that do most essential work, but least rewarded. And also a guarantee that if your job evaporates, you won't starve. Now, you see, we've got that in New Zealand, and we're very fortunate that we have that sort of thing. But no such thing. I mean, there's 40 million on food stamps in America, and another 40 million trying to get on food stamps. A huge difference in the poverty level there that shouldn't be happening in what's considered the wealthiest country in the world.
And of course, we've still got this ongoing, thing about the election. But, the good thing, I think, the good news from there is that it seems like Biden is going to be the next president. And although he's got a lot, I think, to prove.
and to clean up.
Yes.
Well, I think his co-pilot will probably be a stronger voice than his.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yes, and amazing that the first woman to be in the vice presidential position, and also I read also that there were 300 women that were. Nearly 300 women that have been voted into Congress.
Good Lord, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so, but they're still only just over 25% in Congress.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant, though.
But
isn't it?
Maitreya has talked about, hasn't he, about the role of women or the role of women in this changing times, and so
Yes.
it's great to see so many stepping forward.
Oh, that's right. And I've just got an excerpt here, actually, from the Master's message. Now, this came out in December last year, just before we had COVID in there. So you'll see how interesting it is in relation when I announce this. I'm just going to use half the Master's message from December Share International magazine. With every day that passes, more and more people are becoming aware that something new, quite unusual, is happening to them and the world. They sense the events that are underway which will reshape the future and carry them they know not where. This expectancy simultaneously frightens and thrills. They feel a growing confidence that mankind is not doomed, but against all odds has, they know not why, come through the fire and threatened its existence. They feel too a gathering power within themselves with which to effect changes in their lives and so control their destiny. Thus disappearing forever is the time when governments rule against the people's will and force their unwelcome doctrines on a passive population. The days of autocrats are numbered, and one by one they leave the stage of their inglorious reign. The new times are with the people, and from their ranks will a new spokesman come. Waiting behind the scenes stands the Christ, in patient silence and unhurried, ceaseless toil. He fashions the means of his emergence before the eyes of men. All now is prepared. The final touches only await his hand. Soon the world will know that the teacher is here, that the Son of Man has returned, that the representative of the Most High has placed himself at the service of humanity once again. Formerly people awaited events in passive acceptance of fate. Today a new consciousness informs the minds and hearts of men and awakens them to their inborn need for justice and freedom. They will not be denied. This is the Emergence News on Plains FM. For more information, go to shareinternational.org. So what are your thoughts, Sophia, on that article there, that message from the Master?
So I think what jumped out for me there was saying that they're gradually jumping off the stage, all these, autocrats and all these people are, we're seeing so many being put away now, aren't we? Into jail, and having to step down, and there's still, still many clinging on to power, but it feels.
Do we see Donald Trump doing exactly this?
Oligarchy's fighting a rearguard action.
Yes.
And the masters of materialism through oligarchy and the philosophy of capitalism are fighting a very tough rearguard action.
Yes.
But we're understanding the level of corruption, we're understanding the level of greed, and we're understanding that the problems we face are surmountable.
Yes.
We've just got to get the power out of a few hands and distribute it more fairly.
So let's just close the programme by maybe going around and thinking what for each of us was positive about our election here, because it's been sort of trumpeted around the world, hasn't it? This election of Jacinda Ardern, and I think for me the positive points that came across watching the other world were the respectful dialogue that was between all the parties, even though not so much during the campaign itself, but afterwards. I really loved the way that there feels this sort of like respect, the way that one of the politicians went to the other's party, and the way that Jacinda's talking about, doing cross-party, exchanges and bringing the Greens in to help, even though she doesn't need them.
Yeah. She certainly set the tone, hasn't she, with her attitude. It's attitude that's done that.
That's been the positive for me, is that New Zealanders have responded to a good style of leadership.
Yeah.
New Zealanders have responded to an inclusive style of leadership. Someone who's articulate, someone who's well informed, someone who relies on good advice. That's a real positive for me.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say they can do all they want to do,
yes,
but New Zealanders have responded to that style of leadership.
She certainly comes across as if she is thinking what she's saying, instead of just reacting to an emotional, I hate you, or,
there's still the political stuff to get worked through, but that's been a real positive for me, that actually New Zealanders have liked that style of leadership.
And I think it's a sort of a style of leadership we need around the world, isn't it, where people where our leaders are positive and
Yeah.
where they give unifying, sort of calls to action, and it's going to help us all to sort of move forward, I think.
And clearly enunciating the problems, the challenges.
Yes.
Let's be honest with what we're facing as a small nation. What are our challenges?
Yes.
Let's be clear on that.
Yes, that's right. So well done, New Zealand, eh?
Yes.
So just one little paragraph from the Master's message to finish. Take heart, therefore, from all of this and know that the new and better times are on the way. Take heart and know that naught can stop the momentum of change that now grips this world.
All this information can be found on the Share International website, www.share-international.org. Scorpio Books in Christchurch carries the magazine and some books. And also don't forget the podcasts, which are available on the Plains FM website.
We welcome your comments, questions and feedback. Please contact us at emergencenews@gmail.com.
The opportunity to join our transmission is available Monday and Wednesday evenings and Thursday mornings, which gives us the possibility to do a service meditation in conjunction with Masters.